We've got breathtaking scenery, one of the most beautiful cosmopolitan cities in the world is right there. Table Mountain, the Victorian downtown of Cape Town, and the beautiful ocean that wraps around it. We've got a warm and inviting, friendly people. You'll be welcomed warmly by local residents. Virtually everybody on this who lives in South Africa speaks English, so there's not really a communication issue at all. And yes, we'll be departing, if you've looked at the brochure, we'll be departing out from Raleigh, heading into the Southern Hemisphere. We'll be going, and somebody's going to ask me, so I'll give a brief understanding of what the air is, even though the air is subject to change. We are going to be going from Raleigh to Atlanta. From Atlanta, we're going into Cape Town. And on the return, after we've gone through the internals flights, we'll be coming back from Johannesburg, back over to Europe, and then back into Raleigh from, if I'm not mistaken, Paris. There are some possibilities of flight changes, but that's the schedule we have reserved for you now. But it is, once we get to Atlanta, it's about a 13-hour flight. So it's time to download all your TV programs and movies onto your phone or onto your iPad. You'll be able to binge watch while you're going on the flights themselves. And before you know it, day 2, we'll find ourselves historically somewhere in that late afternoon, early evening. Welcome to South Africa. And this is our routing. We're going into Cape Town for 4 nights. For those people who've traveled with us before, you know that whenever possible, we try and stay as long as we can in at least one destination. So we've got 4 nights in Cape Town, 2 nights in Pilanesberg, the park, and then 1 night in Johannesburg. That's the main program for people that are going on to Victoria Falls, follow the green arrows and green plane, and head up to Victoria Falls there. I forgot to mention, we've already got travelers from Chapel Hill that wanted to make sure they were on the trip. They've already reserved. So yes, if you know you want to go, get yourself on the trip as soon as you possibly can. As soon as you arrive in Cape Town Airport, you'll be met by our modern, well, you won't be met by our modern, we'll go to our modern air-conditioned motor coaches, but you'll be met by our host. And we have hosts in the destinations of Cape Town, in the park itself, and Johannesburg. They're the same as tour directors that you've had on other programs with us, but instead, in the evenings, they go home. So they're locals. They've forgotten more about these destinations than we will ever know. So they'll know how to get from point A to point B. They'll be guiding on the tours. Every time a bus moves, there they'll be. But we'll pick up 3 different hosts of this program itself. Welcome to Cape Town, spectacular scenery, and our home from home is the Commodore Hotel. We must say, or similar on our programs, just in case, for a reason unbeknownst to us, it closes or something such as that. But it's a quality first-class 4-star hotel right there, just only a hop, skip, and a jump from the Victoria and Alfred waterfront, right there by the marina and harbour itself, and it has all the modern amenities of any first-class property. Direct dial telephones, air conditioning, heat, private bathrooms, restaurants, bars, friendly and efficient staff and management. And here we are inside the hotel rooms themselves. You can see large flat screen TVs, free Wi-Fi, 24-hour room service, just to name some of those things. And either it's looking across the Atlantic or Table Mountain views from this particular program. All rooms have balconies too. Now, rest up, take it easy. Day 3 will be upon us. Now, we class ourselves as the leader in first-class 4-star value price programs in the US. And I'm hopeful by the time you've listened to what we have to say today, you agree with that statement, because there's only one optional tour on the entire program. And here we've got our first included tour. And we're doing our city tour of Cape Town. We're heading up to the top of Table Mountain, and we're going to go out to Robben Island too. A wondrous introduction to this land here. Either we'll start heading, depending on weather. For those people who've been to San Francisco, you might have seen at the back, there's the mountains, and there's almost a cotton candy cloud that sometimes rolls down the mountains at the back of San Francisco. This sometimes can happen with Table Mountain and Cape Town. So dependent on which order, we might be going here in the middle or the last section, but we're going to take a gondola up and to see views such as this. You can see Robben Island in the middle of the bay there. Robben Island is where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for many, many years. From here, we'll have spectacular views of one of the largest natural bays in the world, and marinas in the world, as we look down below at Cape Town. We'll continue on to the Victoria and Albert waterfront with, yes, spectacular British colonial architecture. We'll head downtown into the Castle of Good Hope area before heading and seeing Company Gardens. Cape Town is a most compact city, and it's an easily walkable city, and there's views everywhere you look as you wander here. After that, we'll head into the Malay Quarter with its multicolored, beautifully painted houses, which, yes, the Malay district is famous for. After that, well, it's time to jump on a boat as we head and leave the mainland behind and head into the bay and arrive to Robben Island. And we're looking now across the bay back to Cape Town and Table Mountain. Now, the reason we're here is for this. We're here at the Robben Island Penal Colony. This is where Nelson Mandela spent a good few years. It wasn't the only place he was imprisoned, but a lot of the time he was in this prison. And we're heading in, and thank goodness we're only heading in here for a couple of hours. We don't have to stay a long time. We're going to wander the corridors. We'll see the cell where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for year upon year. It's an extremely sparsely appointed cell. We'll learn of its history. We'll learn of apartheid. We'll learn of the prison itself. We'll even go to the quarry where hard labor was performed. That evening, in one of the function rooms of our hotel, we will meet a prison guard. A prison guard will come in and will give us what we call and this is part of what we call our journey of discovery. Quest Voyages is an important part of planning programs is, yes, to see Table Mountain, yes, to see the beauty of South Africa, but also to learn a little bit about the history, unusual aspects of the history that might not be explained, to meet people and learn a little bit about their life. And we're going to be meeting a gentleman called Christo Brandt. He was one of Nelson Mandela's prison guards for the journey of discovery. So most companies can take you on a safari. You could see Table Mountain. You'll see Johannesburg, but it's an important part of who we are to learn a little bit more about the underneath of a country, the underbelly of a country, and to learn a little bit about its past and meet people. And that's what we're doing in a hotel room. Will be a conference room. We'll be meeting Christo Brandt, and you'll be having a questions and answers session with him on apartheid, on Nelson Mandela, on incarceration and his friendship. with Nelson Mandela, which turned from prison guard into a friendship. He's wrote many books. You'll be able to look him up if you wish, Christo Brandt. It's a truly wondrous event. From there, we'll come back to the hotel, rest up, maybe head out and for dinner and maybe sample some of those great South African wines, which the next included tour has a bit of, because we're heading now, day 4, we've got another included tour. This time we're heading to Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is the Dutch history of South Africa. The Boer nations, you might have heard of the Boer War and such things as that. Yeah, we're heading into the Boer area. And it's also South Africa's version of Napa Valley. This is where all the top wines are, the vineyards. So we're going to arrive and we're going to see a beautiful landscape, man-made of typical Dutch-style architecture, of downtown Stellenbosch. We got the mission, the ancient mission here, the old college with its, yeah, you can see that Gothic-style architecture. Then we'll continue on after a little bit to eat in downtown, as it's known for its culinary aspects too. We'll continue into a locally family-run vineyard, where we'll learn about the grapes. We'll also have a little sampling session. What would it be like if we didn't sample a little bit here or a little bit there, and really take it easy and try and figure out, what is this all about? What is this wine business about, before we continue on to sampling and meeting the vineyard hosts. Back to the hotel that evening, rest up. Day 5 is our only free day on the program. Now, we always like to have a free day whenever humanly possible, because it gives you the opportunity to relax, go do some shopping, take it easy, do whatever you want to. Don't forget, you've got your host that'll tell you how to get from point A to point B. Help the South African GDP with a spot of shopping, or head out with a specially designed day tour with only you in mind. And the optional tour that we have today is down the Cape and along to the 12 Apostles. The 12 Apostles are those mountain ranges we see right there, but it's pristine golden sandy beaches. It's emerald green, turquoise blue waters, as we go through some of South Africa's most beautiful coastal scenery. We'll be heading down the side of the 12 Apostles into Hout Bay. And again, very similar to some aspects of San Francisco. Again, if you head down from San Francisco, yeah, it's very similar too. Now, upon halfway down the 12 Apostles run, we're going to be stopping at a small port town where we'll jump on a boat, and that boat will take us across to Seal Island. Seal Island and Sea Lion Island is known for its seals and sea lions, and it's a great opportunity to visit a little bit of the local wildlife. And you never know, wherever there's seals, there are great whites, so you never know. Fingers crossed, you might see one. You might be one of those white knuckle freaks that says, today, I don't want to go on this tour. I want to go in a great white shark, not in a great white shark cage, as I was going to say. The shark's outside the cage, you're in the cage. But if you're interested, there are tours that you can take from Cape Town to go in one of those cages and see a great white up close and personal. But you never know, you might see one here hovering around Seal Island. We'll continue after that to Stellenbosch Botanical Gardens, where there's raised walkways, which we're looking here, as well as ground level walkways with all the vegetation, fauna and flora of the entire area, put together beautifully in a small botanical gardens. We'll have a walk around there and figure out what's happening before we continue on to Boulder Beach. Boulder Beach and the penguin colony is our next stop. So yeah, there's quite a bit of nature here on this particular program. And the penguins love it because it's time that they get the chance to take a photograph of those humans coming to visit. And see a little bit about the other way of life. We'll come back, and this will be our last night in Cape Town. We'll have spent 4 nights there. The next day, which is day 6, we'll be jumping on our motor coach, and we'll have an internal African flight from Cape Town up to Johannesburg, and welcome to Johannesburg. And I say, and airport. The emphasis of today is not to go to Johannesburg. We're going to be arriving at the airport, and we're going to continue. Straight after that, we'll meet our host for the park in Johannesburg, and we will then take a road trip. It's about a 2-hour drive from the airport, arriving to Pilanesberg, but spectacular. Nature is at hand as we go through. You'll find local towns, small traditional villages before we arrive at Pilanesberg National Park. And this is a great experience. Our home from home here is the Kwa Maritime Bush Lodge. It has all the modern conveniences of any first-class 4-star property. It's low-rise because virtually everything is in the bush style of an event, but it's a low-rise. Everything from pools, restaurants, bars, friendly and efficient staff and management. Yeah, you've got everything. You've even got Nespresso machines in the hotel room too. We're looking here at the lodge on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side is its own private viewing platform too, which is great in the evenings. Or if you're one of those that don't like to sleep late, get up early in the morning, go to the hide and look to see what is around the watering hole right there. Breakfast and dinner, you were around here. So all the modern conveniences, you can see, nice rooms, great viewing platforms throughout the hotel, and you're never really sure what you're going to see. Satellite TV, direct dial telephones, yes, you will see those. Double-bedded rooms, king beds. You've got coffee machines. You've got hair dryers, private bathrooms, and again, everything that the other hotels have. And this is where we'll have our game drive experience. Dependent on when we arrive at the reserve on day 6, we may have an evening game drive that day. But if not, we'll be having 2 the next day. Now, they're designed in around about a half-day scenario each. There's a day drive and there's an early evening / night drive. So you can see different types of conditions, different types of animals, hopefully out there in the reserve itself. And as I mentioned, either Land Cruiser style vehicles or something like what we're looking at right here is what you're going to be experiencing. We'll be seeing the Big 5. And what are the Big 5? And this is the lake, just a hop, skip, and a jump from our hotel. There's the Big 5 are the lion, which should be an easy one to see. The elephant, another one, might be easy to see. The buffalo should be also easy to see. Sometimes the leopard is a little more elusive, but in today's modern day and age with cell phones, once a tracker's seen it, virtually everybody knows somewhere where they are. But there are quite a few in the park itself. The rhino is the other one, but there are also other things you'll see. You might see, or you will see giraffes. You'll see, it's some more of those lions during maybe rush hour on the roads, causing a traffic jam. Cheetahs, elephants, again, rush hour. Everything stops for an elephant because you can't get it off the road until it wants to go. So something such as that. And again, you don't stop a rhino too. When it wants to stand in the road, it stands in the road. We'll return back to the lodge, maybe, and you'll be able to grab some lunch, maybe head to the spa, rest up after your morning drive. And then in the evening, we'll go for our evening drive and such things as that. I do, as I mentioned, always recommend doing a spot of independent spotting. Make sure when you go on this program that you have a good pair of binoculars. It's a must. You're going there to see things such as this, and it's not just going to be while you're at the park. You'll see beautiful things in Cape Town. As you look up the mountain at Stellenbosch, you'll see beautiful things too with a pair of binoculars. But yeah, right here is a great place for it. Yeah, watch the sun go down and have truly sit back, maybe with a cocktail in your hand, and you go, my goodness, I'm on safari in South Africa, and just think in awe what you're doing. Before we know it, we'll have spent 2 nights in the park itself, and we'll be driving back to Johannesburg. And now we're going to be experiencing one of the busiest and most bustling developing world cities in Africa. Yeah, it's busy, it's noisy, it's jam-packed, and we'll see Johannesburg itself on our city tour. Our home from home is the I didn't make a spelling mistake here. It's the Sanderton Hotel. I think they want to be youthful using the sign instead of AT. But when we first started using this, I did have to question it myself to say, is somebody just being lazy? No, that's the way it's called. Again, now this is in a upscale neighborhood called Sanderton, and it has all the modern conveniences of home, as the rest of our properties. Large rooms, large windows, air conditioning, heat, private bathrooms with all the toiletries and towels, room service, direct dial telephones, satellite TV, restaurants, bars. And again, Nespresso's got this area covered because you got Nespresso machines in your room as well. We'll continue on with our city tour, and we'll be seeing Soweto. Soweto is known for the area where the apartheid rising happened. I think back in 1954, if I'm not mistaken. And it's called a township, not a town. It's a township, and we'll learn about. It's not so much a very wealthy area, but we'll be learning about Soweto. We'll see its beautiful decorated cooling towers from the old power station, which no longer works. If you did your swimming with the sharks, the great whites, maybe you want to bungee jump off of the towers, which is the middle piece. I don't think you do in Africa, maybe some other places, but not in Africa. We'll see Nelson Mandela's original house, and then come back to the Hotel Resto. That'll be our last night on the main program, and day 9 will be leaving for Johannesburg Airport for our flight back to Raleigh, with memories of the African adventure and safari, with spectacular coastal scenery, traditions and cultures far different than what you'll find at home. And we certainly hope you'll join the chamber on a terrific trip in 2024. Well, what you're going to get for the price of this trip, again, as I mentioned, you get a lot on this particular program. You get round-trip air transportation from Raleigh, Durham, all the way to South Africa and back from Johannesburg. You got 7 nights in first-class hotels and lodges, 7 breakfasts, 1 lunch, and 3 dinners. You got all your touring except one, which is Soweto, Pilanesberg safaris. You've got Stellenbosch with wine tasting, Cape Town, Table Mountain, Robben Island, and you've got one optional journey, which is the Cape and the 12 Apostles. We've got our Journey of Discovery series, where we've got discussions on Nelson Mandela with the Christo Brandt. We've got heading out into Robben Island, again, part of our journey of discovery. We've got our hosts and local guides on the program. So each destination, we've got hosts that will be looking after you during the day, doing the guiding. Every time a bus departs, they'll be on it and doing the guiding, but they go home in the evenings. We've got trackers trackers and guides on our vehicles. In the park itself, we've got deluxe air-conditioned motor coaches for all transfers and tours, except on the safari section, where we do not use buses. There are some companies that will have a 50-seater bus going through the park, and it defeats the object of getting up close and personal with the animals and having that true experience of coming off of the asphalt road and going down some of the trails on a four-wheel drive vehicle. We got our baggage handling and transfers, baggage handling for one piece of luggage to go underneath the aircraft and in and out of each hotel. All this for $1 short of $5,000. Now at that's double occupancy. At that, I'm hopeful that you can attest and verify the claim I made a moment ago about the value for money, and that, well, yeah, we class ourselves as a leader in first class programs for value. If you'd like to, you can go single, and there's it's always limited availability. Do keep that in mind. But for $6.99 additional, oops, you can watch whatever you want to on the TV in the evenings without an argument. Fuel surcharges and land taxes and other fees are included, $350 and $150. They are subject to change, but at this moment, they are correct. Now, the price is an early bird discount price. Now, I'm looking as of tomorrow, 1 month from tomorrow, the price departs. It increases. So as long as you reserve your spot before or on April the 6th, that's the price you pay. After that, it's $100 a person more. Now, it's only $100. But it's still better to be in your pocket than in our pockets. And please, as I mentioned, we've got people who couldn't be here today who reserved, and they wanted to make sure they're on the trip. I heard somebody mention, do we have other chambers? We always have other entities on our programs. So we look for one bus to be on the program. As soon as that bus is full, then we need to get 10 or 15 people before we open up a second bus. We know that this trip will sell out quite quickly by history. So if you know you want to go on the reserve ASAP, and I'll show you in a moment how you can protect yourself. And there are things that we built into the program to give you ease of travel, to be able to put an X on the calendar to say, yeah, I'm going on the trip to South Africa. Now, sometimes on this program, we might be arriving back one day later than our brochure, depending on flights. So do keep that in mind. So you might just get an extra day on the program just because of flight schedules. Now, as we move on, about 70% of all our travelers go on extensions. So, for example, I'm sure that when you went to Greece, you probably went to Santorini. When you went to Egypt, you probably went to Alexandria. So this particular program, and it really is a must, we're heading over to Victoria Falls, one of the ancient modern wonders of, natural wonders of the world. And we're going to be in Zimbabwe or Zambia, but both. We could be in both. Depends on which airport we arrive, but we'll be staying in Zimbabwe. From 17th through to the 19th is where we're going to be in Victoria Falls. We'll leave Cape Town behind, and those people who unwisely decided to go home and not book the extension, you wave goodbye to them at the airport, they'll go home, and you'll carry north up to Victoria Falls. What's included in Victoria Falls? We've got round trip inner Africa flights from Johannesburg to Victoria Falls. We've got 2 nights in first class lodge or hotels, daily breakfast. We've got 2 tours on the program. We've got our Zambezi River cruise during sunset and a Victoria Falls tour. We've got our Quest Voyager host upon the arrival, and they'll be looking after you on the trip. We've got baggage handling for 1 piece of luggage in and out of the hotels, on and off the aircrafts and such things as that. The price of the extension is $11.99 per person, double occupancy, or an additional $2.99 on top of that for single supplement. Same applies. We could be coming back on the 20th, dependent on flight schedules. So we might be having a different schedule based on what we have on the what we have on the day-to-day plan on the flyer. But what do we get? Yeah, we're staying at the Insika Victoria Falls. We're only a hop, skip, and a jump from the midst of the falls. Walkable if you wish to go back. If you like a stroll, you can see the river right there. And again, a low-rise lodge-style hotel. All the modern conveniences that you're going to need: air conditioning, heat, private bathrooms, pools, restaurants, bars, direct dial telephones, satellite TV, Wi-Fi. And here we've got one of the rooms, one of the restaurants, sliding doors that you can walk out into the gardens and relax out on your deck chairs on the balcony itself, outside in your little private area. Great places to watch the bird life. You never know, you might get some of the local wildlife coming through. There's spa facilities too whilst here. Upon arrival, we'll be heading out on our Zambezi cruise. We'll check into the hotel, relax for a little bit, and then off we go. Zambezi, for those people who are old enough to remember the black and white Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies, I always remember Johnny Weissmuller swimming up the Zambezi, trying to save 3 nuns in an outrigger canoe that were in a place that they never should have been. But it was the same every week. And you'll be on the Zambezi, and you'll see the wildlife of the Zambezi as the sun sets on it. You'll see elephants, maybe crocodiles, hippopotamuses. There's quite a few herds of hippos along the way. And as the sun starts to set, it sets an idyllic setting to the start of your Victoria Falls adventure. Rest up, take it easy. Back to the hotel. Day 10 will be upon us, and we'll be first. Oops, excuse me. Our first shot. Where are we? Our first shot is the big tree. The big tree is exactly what it is. It's a humongous tree. For those people who are history buffs, you might remember Dr. Livingstone. Dr. Livingstone was a Scottish explorer and missionary, and he basically carved out this area, and he lived in this area for many, many years. Back then, yeah, you could do things like carve your name into the tree. His name is still in that tree. Centuries later, his name is still there for everybody to see. In all, we'll look at the big tree. After that, we'll go to the Victoria Falls entrance to the park. You know, again, we might find a little bit of the local inhabitants around, and then wander down. And it's a relatively good path, as you can see, but a good pair of shoes, non-slip shoes, as it's sometimes can be a little bit watery because of the mist, to wander and experience the falls themselves. You'll hear them thundering and crashing from many, quite a distance away. And as we wander down these paths, we'll be arriving and seeing the gorge. One side is Zimbabwe, the other side is Zambia. And there we have, right in the middle, the checkpoint. That's the border control, that little house in the middle between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And the river carves right down the middle of both countries. We'll be seeing different viewing points of the fall, some up close and personal, some a little lesser so. And here we are at one of the vantage points. Now, here's the complete set. You've swum with the great whites, you've bungee jumped in Soweto. You can see some people in the middle. Do you see them right there in the middle of that shot? That is called the Devil's Pool. The Devil's Pool is one of the first, what do we call them? Infinity edge pools. It's a natural infinity edge pool, which overlooks the actual drop of the falls. So carefully, with a guide, and I don't think you can do this liability reasons by yourself. I think you have to get a tour to do it, and probably rightly so. But you go over there, you jump in the pool, and you just, yes, experience one of the most white knuckle infinity edge pools in the water as you look over the thundering water of Victoria Falls as it cascades down the side. I'm not going to do it. I might swim, I might get in that cage with the sharks, but I'm not doing that one. I would keep thinking, even though that wall's been there ever since the falls has been there, I might be just at the right time that wall gives way and I go over the edge. But before we know it, we'll have spent 2 nights in Victoria Falls and we'll be heading back to Johannesburg historically that morning, where we'll have a connection in in Johannesburg, and we'll fly back to the US after that. Now, what do we have on this particular program? Now, for passport rules and regulations, you must have 6 months left on your passport. It is a requirement, so do please keep that in mind. Okay. Some European countries say either 3 months or 6 months. It is 6 months for here. So check your passport and make sure that there's 6 months left on it from your last day, wherever you are on this trip. 2 blank pages too is what's required. Now, no visas are required for South Africa, as long as you don't overstay your welcome longer than 90 days. It's free of charge. Now, Zimbabwe, yes, there is a $30 visa fee, and it is upon arrival. It's just $30 US. Give it to the man with the gun and the stamp, and he stamps the passport, and there it's done. Easily done and easily. And it's just basically, I think, a revenue generating. So for some reason, this never stays in black. It keeps going back to yellow. But all this information is compliments of the US State Department. Now, how do we sign up? It's really easy. As we know, we've already got people that signed up. Basically, through the flyer that Ori has emailed you, you click that link there. As soon as you click the link here, this shows. And this is our booking engine. And it's really, really easy. I've only brought one section of the landing page. It says the chapel, the Chamber of Chapel Hill presents the date, a little bit about the trip, the highlights. We've got Ori's contact details, and then after that, it does go. We also put a mention about getting travel insurance there, which is important. And then after that, you'd scroll down, you get abilities to book, you get a day-to-day, you get some pictures and such things as that. But by clicking on one of these colored buttons, one, download the brochure by clicking the gray button. You'll put in your email and the brochure will be emailed to you. If you're going to save it to your desktop or save it to your computer, it's great to do. Try not to. If you're going to try and print it, it's best to print the one that we gave you and Ori gave you. The one here kills a few trees because I think it's about 7 pages and the pictures are big. So that's why it's a kind of long document. But you can do that and save it to your computer. If you wish, you can press the blue button and you can ask a question. Or you can contact Ori, who's right here too. That's just another way. But by pressing on select, you come to this particular page. There, click on that, and here we go. And this is the order section. When we built our booking engine, we realized that there are more Amazon Prime vans than there are newborns at this moment. So Amazon Prime must have done something right with the way they made their booking engine. They made it really simple. And with our software engineers, we said we need to have it as simple as Amazon Prime. Now, we have to collect more information than Amazon Prime, but we hopefully succeeded in creating an easier process. This first section, it always defaults to, and these are pull downs. So you click on the blue and then it pulls down. It always defaults to 0 of everything. Now, here we've got 2 people traveling. So I'm just going to say there's 2 people on the program. They're sharing one room and there's only going to be one form of payment. This is what it's designed for. So John and Alice Smith are going to go on the trip. There's 2 people going on the trip itself. 2 people are going on the Cape tour. 2 people are going on the Victoria Falls extension. And every time one of these items is selected, this section on the right-hand side is dynamic and it changes, okay? And that's really easy. I'll come to a next section in a moment. And we'll come to payment options in a moment. But this section, notice, this for the sake of explaining how our booking engine works, I've only indicated 1 person in a double room. That sounds a little strange, because why didn't I indicate a single occupancy? No, this is 2 people sharing the same room, but they're going to pay by different modes. So you're all each going to pay by your own credit card or each by your own checking account. So you're going to drop in here. 1 person in a double room, 1 person on the Cape Tour, 1 person Victoria Falls. And this is the payment for 1 person, not 2 people. And you'll see what I mean in a minute with the next slide as we come to the next slide. We'll talk about payment options now. Payment is either the deposit of $800 a person and any options that you've selected, or you can pay it all if you wish. You won't get into trouble if you pay everything there and then. For the sake of this conversation, we've done pay amount due only. Press continue, and this now, why is it not moving? This section comes in, and this is the passenger information section. This here, it says participant information 1. If John and Alice Smith, that person who signed for 2 people on 1 payment, there would be 1 section here that say participant information 1. You'd fill all that out, and then there'd be another section for 2, participant information number 2. Yeah, but for the sake of this equation, I'm still with 2 people sharing the same room under different payment methods. First name, last name, email address. You'll notice that there are orangey red stars in some of these boxes. These boxes are required to reserve. So last name, first name, last name, email address, home address, city, town, state, zip code, contact number, date of birth, name that appears on your passport is a required field. Now, it's strange that straight underneath the passport number is not a required field. There's a reason why that is there. So if you've currently got a passport, but you don't have 6 months left on it from your last day of the trip, we still want you to have the ability to reserve, even though you're going to have to go and get a new passport. Unless you specifically make the action to change your name on the passport, it will not change unless you got married or you make that change. So your old passport that's expiring will be the same name as your new passport, okay? So please give us your name as it appears on the passport right here. If it's still good, put your passport number there, the issue date, and then the second section, the passport expiration date. You can click on this box if you wish, and if you have a picture of your passport on your computer, it will open up a window and you can attach your passport photograph to the reservation system. Now, we've got a section right here that says room type. It's required and it's starred. So it's single, double twin beds. Now, probably the couple who are traveling together might say 1 bed, but definitely the 2 ladies, I think, will probably say, yeah, I want 2 separate beds. So when Alice and Jane are signing up individually, they would put double twin beds, and then they would indicate who they're sharing that room with. So we can cross-reference each individual reservation. Nice and easy. Yep. Then we get into the air gateway. The air is included from Raleigh, Durham. Yes, the first box, it's required. These boxes are required. So please tick which one applies to you. The program has air out of Raleigh included in it. If that's what you were leaving from, please click that box and you don't have to go any further. You don't have to be from Raleigh. You don't have to be from North Carolina, the East Coast. You might have family in Kansas City, friends in LA, ex-neighbors moved to Seattle, wherever. If they're coming with you, then they can go from their home gateway. So they would say, no, please accommodate me from an alternate gateway. Click that box, and in the notes section, they put LA, Seattle, wherever it is, and then we'd come back with them on the program out of that alternate gateway. Lastly, if you've got, it doesn't say this, but I always say it in this way, if you've got oodles of air miles, or you've got a free ticket with an airline, you don't have to take our air. By clicking this last box, no, I do not want air from Quest Voyager. If you tick that box, there will be a $1,100 per person deduction, and you will make your own air arrangements to and from South Africa. Your internal flights from Cape Town to Johannesburg are included still. And even if you take the extension, your internal flights are still included in the extension, but you'll just go get your own flights into Cape Town and out of Johannesburg. Okay, tick that box. Anything else, notes you need us to know about? You're traveling with friends and you want to have rooms close to each other. We can't guarantee next door, but close to each other, drop that in there. Any TSA global entry numbers, drop it in there. Any dietary needs, drop it in there. And now, we live a busy world. We're talking now about auto billing. What is auto billing? So because we live in such a busy world, your final payment is due 130 days before you go. We may or may not remember that. We might not have put that on our calendar. If you click auto billing at 130 days before you go, you'll be automatically billed for the final payment. You don't need to do anything about it. It's either charged to your credit card or charged to your checking account, whatever you use to reserve your trip. But if you don't want to, if you want to make manual payment, you just do that and drop in, no, I prefer manual payments, and you will make your payment on that date. Now, importantly, you will gain notification no matter what way you're paying final payment. 14 days before you go, you'll get 14 days before final payment, you'll get notification that final payment is due. 7 days, you'll get another notification. If you selected auto billing 3 days before you go, you'll get an email that says, you're going to be charged in 3 days. Make sure you have the right enough funds on your account to take care of it. If for some reason you forget and you didn't pay, you'll get a notification after the payment date that you've just respectfully, can you make payment? And then if you didn't do that, you'll get another one after that. Okay. So no matter what you do, you'll get notifications. Lastly, there's our terms and conditions. You click on that blue section to read our terms and conditions. And then you need to put a yes in there and then press continue. This is how you pay for the trip. It's easy. There's two ways of paying for the trip, credit card or checking account. We're now at the first one, and it's Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. Just drop in that amount right there. Expiration date, the code, the CVC number, and billing details right there. Notice that this dynamic billing section comes with you in every field that you're in. So you know every time how much you're going to be charged. You press confirm booking, and we'll talk about what happens when you confirm booking in a moment. There is also another one, US checking account. And this is this. So you don't need to wander in to see Ori. You could just wander in with a cup of coffee instead of a personal check. So you could come in and just see him if you wish, but you don't need to come in and see him to hand off a personal check, because you can do it directly using an e-check. So you'll put in the full name of your account right here, your routing number, account number, and confirm the account number, confirm booking, and this amount will automatically be charged to your checking account that you state. Nice and easy. So no longer do you have to trudge in with a paper check, or he has to collect it, get it over to us, and it takes time. It's instant. As soon as you press confirm booking, a couple of things happen. Whether it is check or whether it is credit card, a pop-up will appear. Thank you for your reservation. You got any more questions? Here's Ori's number, his email address. If you have a spam block, a pop-up blocker on your computer, it may or may not appear. If it doesn't appear, you'll get an email virtually immediately too, saying exactly the same thing. You are communicating with a computer. It didn't go to lunch. It didn't go to the bathroom. If it hasn't appeared in 20 seconds, that email is in your spam. So check your spam. It'll say, oh, the trip, the invoice will be there, or his number will be there. And in both cases, there will be a banner which talks about travel insurance. We'll talk about that in a moment. Now, importantly, when you look at your credit card statement or you get your bank, it doesn't say that the charge is from Quest Voyager. It says our merchant account, which is We Travel, or some cases, just to keep us on our toes, W Travel. So that's what appears. So if you see that, no, you haven't had somebody steal your card. It comes from that. Okay. Now, as soon as you get all that, then it files it. You file it away. But importantly, travel insurance. You're going to Africa. You're going a long, long way. Whether you're going to Africa, whether you're going to Europe, wherever you're going, I'm going to say, please take the travel insurance. And I hope you waste your money on travel insurance. Every year I take 2 to 3 trips abroad. I always take travel insurance because I've seen what happens when people don't have it. We had a situation last week in Iceland that, yes, thank goodness somebody took our advice and got the travel insurance. So it was all taken care of with the insurance. But buy it and then say, I hope I never have to use it. So by clicking on that banner, once you've booked, this will show on your screen right here. This HTML file will pop up. And this is where you can get your free quote to how much the insurance costs. Your state of residence, where you're going, South Africa. It doesn't need both places. Wherever you're going for predominantly, which is South Africa, pull South Africa up. Departure date, return date. That would include extension if you've got it. Initial deposit date, which is when you just did it, and final payment date. Then your date of birth, first travel, date of birth, second travel, cost of the trip. You've only just got the invoice, so those things should be all too fresh. We recommend get this done while it's on your mind, while the pop-up's there, because it truly is important. There's one policy and there's 2 ways of protection. One policy is cancel. It's a cancel for a reason policy. That's the standard policy. The cancel for a reason is medical. Should you fall sick? Should you or an immediate family member fall sick or die? Should there be an accident of you or an immediate family member? Please don't try these out because they're not wonderful options to try out. It also covers trip interruption, travel delays, missed air connections and cruise connections, baggage, personal effects, baggage delays, medical, emergency medical and dental, emergency evacuation, repatriation, accidental death, dismemberment. Again, terrible options to talk about, but you never know. And pre-existing conditions is covered by that. Now, it also gives you the 24-hour, 7 days a week worldwide assistance, a collect number. Now, that's the standard policy. Now, importantly too, if you wish to, you can take cancel for any reason insurance. And there's a box in there that gives you a little bit more power because you don't have to have a doctor state you can't go on the program to get your money back. So you can just, if you get a bad haircut and you don't want to be seen out in public, if the dog or the cat refuses to eat because it hears you're going to South Africa and you don't want to go because of it. If you're a lawyer and you've got a case of a lifetime you've been waiting for decades, and it just happens to happen when you're going here, those are all cancelled for any reasons. Yes, cancelled for any reason. Okay. Now, there are rules and regulations which you'll be able to read online, but that's really it. As long as we recommend that you buy cancel for any reason at the time of initial reservation of the product, and as long as you cancel your trip no later than 48 hours before you depart, you will get 75% back of the money that you've paid. Okay, 75% back. It's better than nothing, and it does give you a little bit more power. Now, if it happens to be a cancel for a reason, then you should, and I have to say should because I'm not the insurance company. I'm just an information conduit. But if it's part of the medical side of things that you can't go, you should get 100% back. Okay, but if you just decide I don't want to go for whatever reason, then it's 75% back. Now, as a company, and I'm nearly finished, and you can answer your questions in a minute, but as a company, we want to give you something free. You must pay for this, and we do recommend you get this anyhow, insurance, either cancel for any reason or standard insurance. But from the time of booking all the way up to 131 days before you go, you get a full money back guarantee. All you're going, and it's written in our terms and conditions, so you'll be able to see this on our website. So as soon as you reserve, you're set, and you can put an X on the calendar and know that if something happens, I've got up to 131 days before I go to decide. Okay. After that, it gets into an $800 and then a percentage all the way down to no refund at all, closer to departure. But that gives you something free to say, yes, I can put X on the calendar and I want to get myself on the first bus. I don't want to get caught in a waitlist scenario, and I'm going. Okay. If you can't go and it's still in that 131 days, you'll just send an email to Ori. He'll forward it on to us and we'll initiate the refund process. Okay. And that's our program. And we certainly hope you join the chamber. And any questions, please? Feel free to fire them at me if there is any.
Let's say you're just a single person and you like single accommodations. Does that automatically, when you fill out the form to send to you folks, which we did last night?
Oh, right.
But by putting that on there, does that guarantee us a single room?
Yeah, if you've signed up last night, then you're on the trip.
Yeah, did you select a single room?
Yes.
Yeah, then you're good.
It's good. Okay.
Yep.
That's confirmed.
Yep.
All right. Okay, thank you. I have another question, but I'll remember it and come back. Go ahead.
Anybody else?
What is the minimum number of people you need to take this trip to go on the trip, or to be a go?
We have a minimum of 15 passengers for this trip to go.
I guess I already looked into the currency and sort of, I'm always interested in that, but I don't know if there's any kind of suggestions for, of course, covering dinners and things like that, in terms of how much currency to start off with.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things is that, you know, if you haven't traveled with the chamber before, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things we need to discuss. One is we will be having another one of these meetings about 30 days before we go. And we'll be discussing all things like currency, weather, what to pack, and all that good stuff. You'll have your final documents with you, but we'll be discussing all those things and answering anybody's questions that you might have got over that time period that you've been thinking about the trip. So, but when you arrive in Cape Town, it's a pretty cosmopolitan place. The credit card machines, unless we're in a relatively small town or something such as that, you'll find that credit card machines in Cape Town are everywhere. Exchange houses are everywhere, and you shouldn't have an issue at all in finding a place to get the rand in on the program itself. So do keep that in mind. It shouldn't be an issue at all for you on that.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Not to be a party pooper, but are there any safety issues on the trip?
I mean, it's very difficult. I would not be concerned about going there myself. But it's like anywhere in the world. Just have some common sense around you when you're wandering around. Don't wear the diamond tiara or take the gold Rolex watch with you. Don't stick your pocketbook. If something's going to happen, it's probably going to be a pickpocket in a local market, something like that. We can't guarantee that stuff, but again, just have a little bit of common sense. We are not going into a war zone. It's a level 2 by the U.S. State Department. So again, I'm not overly concerned in any shape or form about you not having a wonderful thing. Just like anywhere in the world you're going to, even Europe, just watch your surroundings.
I bring it up only because when we went on the Egypt trip, which was a wonderful trip, everywhere we went on the bus, there was an armed guard with a loaded Uzi.
And those armed guards are paid for by money that we send Egypt.
Yeah.
Our country does.
Yeah. And so it was, and we went to dinner one night at a resort, and we had 3 police cars escorting us. So it was a little shocking.
There is no need for it in South Africa. Whether there's a need for it, and again, just so that you know, we actually pay for those. We actually pay for those guards on those trips. But whether there's a need for it on it's a mandate in Egypt to do that. But whether there's a need for it or not, it's questionable. But there's no need for it on this particular program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Using money for tips.
Yeah.
Should we figure on maybe exchanging some of our US money? And should we do that here before we leave or when we get there?
I'm a big believer in waiting till you get there. When you get into tips and that scenario of stuff, you got a scenario that most people will accept most currencies when you're discussing tips. So as you are looking at various tips and such things as that, just take it nice and easy and just allocate either US dollars or the rand for your stay on this program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is the airfare on regularly scheduled flights or is it a charter?
Oh no, it's regular scheduled flights. Yes, regular scheduled flights. We try never to use charter flights in any shape or form.
Awesome. Anything else?
Okay.
All righty.
Yeah, but I like
I
the
know.
meeting at this time,
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah,
This-
for
this is a
sure.
Good time.
Ian, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
John, one more.
Yeah, one more. If let's say I did or somebody else who's on this trip did, and they want to spend a lot of money, but they would like to go, first class business. Can you arrange that?
Yes, we can arrange that in the section on the registration form. We can arrange that on your behalf. And in this particular case, on this routing, and I think you're going a distance on this particular program, but for this particular trip, it would be in a business class scenario. You're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of about $11,000 supplement to go business class.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But, do you send that in, at the same time you send in your application, or do you send that information into you after you send the application?
In the notes of the notes section of the booking, you would indicate that yes, you would like enhanced business class, first class seat right there, and then we will take care of that, and we'll come back to you on the specifics. It's an estimate we gave you at the moment, but we've been doing this for quite some time. It's most probably a relatively accurate one, but yes, that's what we would say.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ann. Really
All right,
appreciate
well,
it.
hope you'll join us and get yourself on the first bus and guarantee your spot. Thanks for coming. Take care.